If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. Welcome to the ADHD presentation where we all feel like we're in middle school. Thank you guys so much for being here. I was so worried about getting these slides up that I did not actually bring up the presentation. So, my name is Jennifer White. I am a clarity coach and a mastermind facilitator. And I am here to tell you how your ADHD makes your business better. Yeah. Now I have to find this. I was so worried about those slides, you guys. There it is. Got it. Look at me go. So, according to Forbes, 30% of entrepreneurs have ADHD. According to the book Lightning in a Bottle, they did a research with an organization of entrepreneurs that were at $1 million or more. In that group, 60% of those entrepreneurs had ADHD. So that should make you feel really good here today. Sir Richard Branson, Agatha Christie, IKEA founder Ingvar Kamprad, JetBlue founder David Neeleman, gymnast Simone Biles, and movie director Greta Gerwig. All of them are ADHD. If you Google successful ADHD, you will come up with a list of 72 people, most of which I did not know because they're movie stars and I don't care. But if you really start digging, you will find out Staples, the founder, is ADHD. Kinko's, who started all of that Staples stuff, right? Founder was extremely ADHD. I read his book somewhere in like 2000, changed my life, and I didn't know why because I hadn't been diagnosed yet. Just for perspective, I'm gonna put my glasses on. How many of you in this room have been diagnosed with ADHD? More than half. How many of you suspect you may be ADHD? That's pretty much the other half. How many of you didn't feel like you had ADHD until you had a business? Not quite so many. I am Jennifer White. I think I already said that. This is where the slide is, sorry. I'm a clarity coach and a mastermind facilitator. And thank you so much for being here today. Something I want to make sure I say, I am not an ADHD snob. I have received an official diagnosis, but if you are in this room because you feel like you have ADHD, welcome. I am glad you're here. That is totally okay. What we're going to talk about today will help you whether or not you are actually ADHD, because the tools that work for ADHD work even better for you guys who have no problems like that. You and your neurotypical brains are like, oh, let me apply this. That said, there are medications and treatments. You can stand up straight, it's okay. There are medications and treatments that can make a world of difference. Sometimes an overnight difference. And the sooner you get started finding a therapist, finding a psychiatrist, the sooner you will find out what works for you. Do not die on the hill of I do not want to take medication or I don't want an official diagnosis. It's not worth it. Start now reading the books. Start now hanging out with the people who are already processing and figuring these things out ahead of you. Start now hanging out with ADHD business owners who have figured this out. Pattern what they do, ask them questions. You will be glad you did. Every year, medication and treatments for ADHD get more sophisticated, less invasive, have fewer side effects. It can take a lot of time, but when you finally hit the right solution, it can completely change your life. All aspects of your life. If you choose to sign up on the sheet that is now going around, see, I put these things in the slides so I don't forget. ADHD tip, first one you got today, put it in the slides. Sorry, this isn't the slides. These are the notes you will get. If you sign up for that, I will send you verbatim, just what I'm saying today. So you don't have to sit and scribble if you don't want to. You're welcome to scribble. I know some of you are not going to write anything I say down, but you're going to be scribbling anyway to keep yourself awake. 100%, go for it. But if you do choose to sign up, I will send you the slides. There's only 4 of them, so don't get excited. The resources I researched from, which I intended to be, if any of you saw my Facebook post where I had this big pile of books, I got through 3 of them, just so you know. Well, okay, 2.5. But I will also send you updates, because I'm finding out that the more I talk about ADHD, the more people want me to talk about ADHD. So if you sign up on that sheet and you say, on the mailing list, I promise I will not spam you. I'm too ADHD for that, right? Like, there's no way I will spam you. I don't have the attention span. But I will make sure that I send you anything I do that has to do with ADHD. There is a workshop that I'm getting ready to do. A challenge that I'm getting ready to do. It's called the Overcoming Overwhelm Challenge. I'm going to give you a list of things that I have found helped me get on track with my ADHD. This challenge, even though I don't call it an ADHD challenge, is basically an ADHD challenge. So as you're leaving, if you want to scan this QR code, and if you sign up as well, I will send you information about that challenge. I promise, if you even just do one of the things in that challenge, it will help. It will make a difference. Because I don't want you to get bored, I'm going to talk fast. I know ADHD people can stick with me. If you cannot stick with me because I'm talking fast, you might want to check and see maybe you're neurotypical. Also, this is being recorded, so if you don't feel like taking notes, feel free to sit back and relax, because you can watch it at double speed next week. ADHD can hinder or help. It can support or it can sink. It can be a problem or it can be a superpower. Actually, in reality, it is always all of those things. It is where we are on that scale depending on the day. Today, I was in absolute ADHD freak out land. Haven't done a presentation for GEW last year, so it's 2 years since I did a presentation for GEW. Haven't done a presentation with slides ever. So, and then I had not thought about my clothes at all, and clothes are very important to me. And so this morning I spent an entire hour going, this one, this one, this one. Put it on Facebook, in fact, because I couldn't decide. This is what they voted on, just so you know. That spectrum of I am completely spun out to I am completely, totally focused is normal. We never, ever get to be one or the other 100%. It just is very rare. Usually, I was in spin out this morning, but I was also cranking out slides and adding things to the presentation that I went, oh, they want to know about RSD, I bet, right? Like, yes, I am both spinning out, but my brain is also at very high functioning at that point. So as you listen to me, I want you to be aware that it is both a hindrance and a help. Today we're going to go through a list of the major ADHD symptoms. There are a whole bunch more that I am not going to talk about. Something that I did not put in here that I didn't mean to put in here. Side note, one of the things I would like all of you to be aware of is there are lots and lots of medical, physical, health ramifications of ADHD. One, I'm not going to name any of them, I'm just going to tell you some of mine. For me, I have trouble with insomnia. I have trouble with muscle tension to the point that I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, I was diagnosed with myofascial something, right? Like, they've given me all sorts of diagnoses, IBS, from the time 1990 I began this journey. And finally, now I literally just found out about the muscle tension situation a week ago. I saw a photo, and if any of you guys have seen this, I saw a photo of someone who was twisted to the side. It was an x-ray. Someone was twisted to the side and turned. That is apparently an ADHD thing. Now I can't find, of course, it was on Facebook, now I can't find the post. But they literally pull, ADHD people literally will pull a little to the side and then twist. What the heck? Nobody told me any of this. But there are lots and lots of physical things that accompany ADHD. That is my post for you. That is my little, put a pin in that because it's not in my notes yet. If you are having physical symptoms that doctors keep telling you we don't know, or we know, and then that isn't it, maybe it's ADHD. Check. We're going to go through the list of major ADHD symptoms and talk about both sides of the coins. Never is anything almost completely bad. If you have been diagnosed, you know what these symptoms are, but I want you to hang in there with me because these symptoms are very rarely talked about in relation to entrepreneurship. They're even more rarely talked about as positives. A lot of them, though, if managed correctly, can be. The light is kind of making me crazy. Are my glasses like glowing? All right, okay. Number one, impulsiveness. Oh, these are in random order, by the way, just to make you feel comfortable. Unmanaged impulsiveness leads to jumping into new things without research or without regard to your current projects, your commitments, your relationships, your finances. Managed impulsivity can be turned into an ability to jump quickly into new opportunities. It can be used to be out in front of the crowd before others see the trend. Kinko's, JetBlue. Easily bored. On to the next thing. ADHD, that's always the problem with ADHD. Unmanaged, it looks like jumping from project to project, from new product to new product, or worse, from business to business. I'll put my hand down. Without ever actually finishing anything. But with the right tools and systems, being easily bored means you're able to jump from marketing to sales to development to research all in the same day and actually enjoy it. Whereas many people get frustrated by the constant code switching. Here's where ADHD becomes a superpower to the solopreneur. If you are willing, I'm going to use the word transitions a lot today, if you are willing to become the master of transitions, that is a superpower, being able to jump from thing to thing. The key is to create a plan, then jump around within that plan to satisfy that boredom itch. And for better or worse, being easily bored means you will never get stuck in a business rut. Disorganization. This can be managed with tools. It can be managed by creating a job for someone, personal assistant, anyone? But it also, this is one that is very difficult to turn into a superpower. Disorganization is very difficult. If you cannot get it figured out, there's no shame. Hire somebody. There are professional organizers who will come in and organize you and come in and reorganize you when you mess it all up again. Difficulty prioritizing. To the ADHD brain, everything is important. Everything has exclamation points. And we want every single one of you in this room to feel that you're my priority. Just as colorblind people can't see the spectrum of colors, full spectrum, they can see some, right? ADHD people cannot see the spectrum of urgency. I want you to hear me say that again. ADHD people cannot see the spectrum of urgency. The trick here is to find tools or people to help you prioritize your workflow within your business and to allow people outside of you to help you learn. We get so prideful as ADHD people that I can't figure out, I can't figure it out, who can figure it out? There's no way anybody else can figure this out. Not true. Allow somebody else to come in and show you what your priorities should be. There are also tools for that. You can ask me afterward that you don't need to hire somebody. But the fastest way is often to just hire somebody. Here's what I need to do for the next 3 months. Tell me what my priorities are. Tell me what my day should look like. Best money you will ever spend as an ADHD person. As far as your customers and your clients are concerned, though, that inability to prioritize is wonderful because they are always the priority, right? Your job is to create systems, fail-safes, and backups to make sure your clients always feel like they're the priority, but you aren't burning yourself up to get that result. Poor time management. ADHD folks don't like to manage time. They're better at creating time. Locking yourself into a strict routine will always backfire. Agreed?
Yes.
Yes. Instead of trying to manage your time in a neurotypical way, shoot for flexibility and really pay attention to what works for you. One of the slides I wanted to put up here was don't should on yourself. How many of you have been told you should be able to manage your time? How many of you have been told you should be able to do your own housework? How many of you have been, right? Especially the women. How many of you have been told you should be able to have a job and do your housework and get it all done? You're just lazy. You're not lazy. Your brain doesn't do that stuff. Well, be willing to use multiple systems. Time blocking this week, maybe sand and stones next week. I find that when my clients allow themselves to use the systems that feel right in the moment or for that project, they often discover that there is a method behind their madness. Time blocking, for instance, often works best for the creation stage of a business or the creation stage of a project. I'm going to give 3 hours. When you're creating, 3 hours goes by like that. But when you have daily lists, on the other hand, are a little more random, but that may be what you need when you're in the promotion stage or you have lots of little things that need to be knocked out. So there is no one solution. Let go of the idea that there is one solution. In fact, I'm going to say it. There is no one solution. Say it to me.
There is no one solution.
Ever for an ADHD brain. And even if today it's the solution, tomorrow it will not be. Say it back to me. Tomorrow it will not be. Yeah, just be ready. And what I have found is if I'm willing to go through multiple systems, eventually I'll find a system that becomes my favorite, and then strangely enough, that becomes my system all the time, and now I've got a system that I use. What? One of my mentors prefers to call time management time bending. He finds that just that shift in how he thinks about time has solved a lot of issues for him. And as ADHD people, we are freaking good at time bending. You all know it, right? Sitting down to that project, honey, I'll be there in an hour for supper. It's so funny. Midnight, you're still working on the project. And it feels like 15 minutes to you, right? But unfortunately, it's the opposite as well, right? Like I'm gonna spend 3 hours on this and 15 minutes go past, you're like, dear God, how long have I been here? I think it's been a week. But when you learn to pay attention to how your brain plays with time, you can start to bend time. You can talk to me about that as well. I myself subscribe to the quantum physics concept that time is not a limited resource. Time is not static. Time is not even real. Sorry to bring philosophy into the thing. But time is fluid. It's not actually real. It's created by our brains. Society too. Society adds the rules. Time is created by our brains because humans cannot deal with the fact that there actually is no time. All of it's happening at once. Now, that sounds really scary. You can erase that if you want to. What it means, though, is that as ADHD people, we are actually more in touch with how time works than neurotypical people. You can actually create time. And when we recognize that time is fluid, we have much more influence over how much of it we have. ADHD people have trouble staying focused. This can be solved by working in sprints. This can be solved by body doubling. This can be solved by narrating. If you don't know what narrating is, I learned this from a doctorate of physical therapy. And when she is doing a project she doesn't want to do, she and I were cleaning a camp dining room one time, and she literally spent the entire time going, scrub, 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 get it clean, get it clean, get it clean, scrub, scrub, scrub. And I was like, what is happening? And she basically said, jobs she doesn't want to do, she learned as a child that she just had to keep saying it to herself over and over and over. Do the dishes, do the dishes, do the dishes, do the dishes. I thought she was a little strange, but then I tried it and it freaking works. It's called narrating. You can also do it in a series, right? That's what I did this morning. I have to get my clothes, I have to get my backpack, I have to get my computer, I have to get my cords. I can only go to about 5 things and then I'm lost. But if you can narrate, right? Like while I'm getting dressed, I have to get my clothes, I have to get my cords, I have to get my backpack. You can narrate to yourself. It's again, people outside you are going, what is going on? But it works. Reporting into someone, timing yourself, shooting for a goal. This is why we like to be entrepreneurs. Making things a game. If you guys have more tools for focus, please let me know. I would love to add them to the list. This lack of focus allows you to shift quickly. ADHD entrepreneurs are always ready to pivot, and sometimes too ready to pivot to the next solution, to the person on the phone. They're also good at going from deep in a project to service mode when a customer walks in the door. This makes you really good as a customer service person. Unfortunately, it also means that you might completely forget what you were doing. So that's the other thing, is creating tools for when you do need to switch. Hi, I'm so glad you're here. Give me a second to make a note as to where I'm at. Again, narrate. Hi, I'm so glad you're here. Let me make a note as to where I'm at, and then actually make the note, right? One of the things I ask my clients to do is to practice what you're gonna say to yourself. We practice what we're gonna say to a client, right? Like most of us have, how many of you have practiced a sales pitch or practiced a conversation before you had it? Practice these conversations with yourself. A client walked in the door, a customer walked in the door, I immediately say hi, even if I'm actually not doing anything because I need the practice. Hi, I'm so glad you're here. Let me make a note of where I am and I'll get right with you. And then make the note. Maybe even practice it when there's not even a customer there, just to get in the habit. The phone rings. Hi, I'm gonna answer you in a second. I'm gonna make a note before I do. ADHD people have trouble multitasking. Actually, this is bullshit. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Actually, this is bull crap. It's been proven that everyone is bad at multitasking. Everyone. The brain research has shown that when you multitask, you actually lose efficiency on both tasks. You actually get far less done on both tasks than you do on the one if you focus on the one. If you think you're multitasking, great, you're not. ADHD peeps just admit that they can't multitask. So arrange your day so you don't have to multitask. Or if your business requires you to quote unquote multitask, find those systems that allow you to keep moving forward. Again, transitions are the key here. I need to be able to talk, I need to be able to come out of marketing mode. I'm sitting here doing Facebook, but somebody walks in the door or calls me or asks for something. I have to be able to transition over here. So find the tools that allow you to do that. Find the transition systems. ADHD is a transition nightmare. We like to stay where we are. We're like toddlers. I am playing in the sand. Don't ask me to leave the sand. Don't ask me to leave the sand. Right? You're gonna have to leave the sand eventually, kiddo, I'm sorry. So find a way to tell your toddler self, we're gonna have to leave the sand. We're leaving the sand in 5 minutes. How many parents? Right? We're gonna leave the sandbox in 5 minutes. We're gonna leave the sandbox in 3 minutes. You got 1 more minute and then we gotta leave the sandbox. Do this to yourself. All right, as soon as we're done, as you take toddler's hand, as soon as we're done with the sandbox, as soon as we get home, we're gonna do this. You actually, as an ADHD person, will benefit from narrating your transitions. We need to be doing Facebook Marketplace right now, not Marketplace. We need to be doing Facebook ads right now. But in 15 minutes, we need to transition to being prepared for a coaching call. Okay, we got 5 minutes. Okay, we got 3 minutes. All right, we have half an hour before the coaching call. We need to do this, we need to do this, we need to get the notebook out, we need to get, right? Find systems that allow you to transition without wandering around the house and then being like, 1 minute to coaching call. Where's my notebook? If part of your business is being interrupted, and how many of you have businesses where people interrupt you all day? Oh, not too bad, not too bad. But if that's part of your business, create a system for transitioning back as well. Person left your office, needed that information. Where was I? I made a note, there's the note, right? Like create a transition system for both transitioning out and transitioning back. My clients who are willing to create solutions for these small things are much less frustrated and have more energy for the big things. ADHD, jittery, leg bouncing, fingers tapping. When you learn to focus that energy, it will light up your business. I use jittery as a cue to breathe deeply. So everybody take a breath. And let it out. Now, if you're ADHD people, you probably only took that breath down to your belly button. This time I want you to breathe all the way down to your hips. Again, go. And let it go. Now, if you're ADHD, you also probably have a lot of muscle tension. So this time, ladies especially, let your tummy just go bleh, okay? Deep breath all the way down to your hips. Let the tummy just relax. When you're jittery, that is a cue that you need to power down a little bit. Breathing is the easiest, fastest way to do that. Breathing down below your belt is part of the requirement. ADHD people tend to breathe above the belt. In fact, some of us breathe above the ribs. That gives you less oxygen for your brain. That's not helpful. That makes your muscles tense. It raises your blood pressure. It raises your heart rate. Take deep breaths whenever you feel that jittery coming on. I'm so excited. I did all that without even looking at the presentation. I did it. Look at me go. Restless. Restless is a major ADHD symptom that can lead you to chuck everything and start over. If you can channel that restlessness into looking for a better solution or a new idea, you can stay in your business. If you continually allow that restlessness to lead you into another product, another business, another relationship, you will continue to spin out. So when you feel that restlessness coming on, how many of you know the restlessness I'm talking about? When you feel that restlessness coming on, look around for what it is. Almost always that restlessness is caused by something you don't like, that's scary, you made a mistake and you don't want to face it. It's almost always something emotional. Look for what the problem is, look for the deep problem, and either address it, I know that's a big ask, address it, find a way to solve it, or at least acknowledge it and go, oh, I don't need to throw my business away for this uncomfortable client conversation I had. I'm actually okay. ADHD people have trouble powering down or calming their thoughts. This is not a superpower. There is no point at which this is useful. When ADHD brains get overwrought, our thoughts just bounce around. There's no usefulness to that. It's bad for your physical health, your relationships, and your life satisfaction. And you could probably give me a whole bunch more things that it's not good for. Meditation, okay, I know, is the most powerful solution for this. I can sleep for 7 or 8 hours a day now, period, at a time. If you had told me 11 years ago that I would be able to sleep for 7 solid hours, I'd have told you were crazy. If you had told me 7 years ago that I would be able to fall asleep, I'd have told you were crazy. If you told me 11 years ago that I'd wake up like that, I'd have told you were crazy. I don't wake up tired anymore. I give that all to meditation. I give everything to meditation. I'm going to say it later. If I repeat myself, it's just important. Meditation is probably the most important thing I'm going to tell you about today. 20 minutes, not all at once, just having done 20 minutes of meditation will physically change your brain. It will also lower your blood lipids, it will also lower your heart rate, your breathing rate, blah, 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 I don't care. I want you to change your brain. 1 minute of meditation a day, in 20 days, you will have physical changes to your brain that will benefit your ADHD. Just start. And yes, it will suck. At first, you're like, what am I doing here? Yeah. Talk to me if you want more help with that, because it can be done. There's no reason not to do it. I do want to say this. Meditation is the most powerful tool you can master as an ADHD person. I do a full workshop on this. I knew there was something I forgot. I did not put it on the sign-up list. If you're interested in attending that workshop, it's called Sit Still, Move Faster. Let me know and I will put you on the list. Mood swings. ADHD folks feel like their emotions overwhelm them, come at them like a wave. It is true. Research shows that we feel our emotions more intensely than neurotypicals. That's just life. I'm sorry. We tend to have more anxiety, we panic more easily, we get angry more quickly, we slip into depression more easily, and we are really good at blowing things out of proportion. Sometimes it feels like it hits out of the blue, but with practice you can predict, manage, and even take advantage of your moods. I said earlier, look for the cause of the restlessness. Same thing, look for the cause of the emotion that hits you out of the blue. Most of the time it's something we've been avoiding, something we've been ignoring. When that emotion hits you, if you will take a breath, maybe even meditate for a minute, and I'm being literal, 1 minute, you will discover most likely that there is something behind that emotion that hit you so hard. Need extra energy for a presentation? ADHD people are really good at bringing their excitement levels up. This is a positive of the emotion scale, right? ADHD people are really good at conveying their emotions to a crowd. That makes us really great presenters and actors. Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, in case you couldn't tell that they were ADHD. On the down days, we are also good at bringing that excitement up if we choose to, and conveying it to ourselves. But we have to get the skill of making that transition. I am wallowing today, but I got stuff to do. I need to bring my energy up. ADHD people are easily distracted. This feels like it's not a positive, but it also means you're always aware of your surroundings. To me, the flip side of easily distracted is hyper-aware. And I'm sure you've all heard this. When we were hunters, that was important. There's a lion coming into the... But in this room, it's also important, right? Like I'm tracking the energy and the faces. My brain, as an ADHD brain, is capable of reading the room, sometimes to a painful degree. How many of you have walked into a room and gone, oh, I need to leave? We are also empaths. Again, makes us really good at speaking and feeling the room, can really give us a bad day when things are going south at work, right? When there's tension in the room, you feel it. That distractibility, though, when there's construction outside your window, it's not useful then. But it is really useful when the mood suddenly shifts when you're doing a presentation. Your thoughts rush ahead of your conversation. With practice, you can learn to be both places at once. I promise you, you will always want to say the thing. You will always. How many of you have blurted something out and then been like, oh, I wish I hadn't said that? Yeah. Eventually, you will be able to stop that. In my experience, you will never be able to stop the thought. It will always, but you'll get better at it. What happens is you will eventually learn to be both places at once. In your brain saying, what, are you kidding me? I can't believe you did that. And that's a lovely blouse. Yes, it looks great with those slacks. But you have to learn to relax and trust yourself. Quit thinking what you have to say is critical and start practicing listening hard. Again, quit thinking what you have to say is crucial. Start practicing listening hard. If you need to, repeat what the person you're talking to said in shouty caps in your head. I do this when I'm really, really tired. Or say it to yourself over and over like you're trying to memorize it. If the pace of a normal conversation is excruciating to you, say the person's name in between statements, their statements, so that they'll be amazed the next time you meet them and you know their name. Say their name while looking at their face, though. Don't like be wandering, right? Like look at their face and say their name as you say it. In your head, that would get very strange between statements. In your head. Your mouth runs ahead of your brain. I already said that. What am I doing here? Yeah, say half of what you want to say and listen to twice as much as you want to listen to. Learn to physically stop yourself, maybe even stand with your finger on your lips as you listen to an employee or a customer talk. You think I'm being thoughtful? I'm just trying not to shout. Don't allow yourself to speak until you have said, "Is that everything I need to know?" Out loud. This one you're allowed to say out loud. Is that everything I need to know? Because we jump to solutions really fast, and sometimes we've missed a part, right? Is that everything I need to know? You may have to take a few deep breaths to get to that spot. Also practice saying, "I need to think about this before I weigh in." What? No, I want to weigh in right now. I've got the solution, I'm so smart. I need to think about this before I weigh in. Maybe even get your phone out and set a timer for 24 to 48 hours. I need to think about this. If you're right now, you will be right tomorrow, I promise. Our ADHD brains love an emergency and we want to jump in and yak about the thing, but it's rarely necessary, and it's even more rarely an emergency. Of course, it's simple to quick knock that puppy out, but doing that often plows over your client or your employee. Do I know everything I need? Have you told me everything I need to know? I need some time to think about this before I weigh in. ADHD people have a low tolerance for mundane, repetitive tasks. You can create systems, you can create rewards, you can create games. You've probably been told all these things all your life. How many of you have been been known you were ADHD since childhood? Not many. Wow, how many of you were diagnosed as adults? Okay, so some of this may be new for you. Create systems, rewards, make it into a game. Use different methods, try different methods for doing mundane, repetitive tasks. Or, it's okay, help the economy and hire somebody. You are not lazy, bad, or wrong for giving someone a job to do something you hate and seriously aren't good at, right? Like, why would you spend 5 hours doing something somebody else could do in 15? And I'm not kidding. How many of you have spent 5 hours on something you could have handed somebody to do in 15? Yep, right? It's ridiculous. You pay yourself real money. Start taking note and making lists of the things that never seem to get done or that you really have to grind your teeth to do. And I'm not kidding, seriously, make a list. What are the things that never get done or that you have to drag yourself through? Look at that system, look at that list and see who you could hire. I promise you they will charge you way less than you're worth. Check your own desire to do those things as well. I mean, if you love doing social media posts for 5 hours when somebody else could do it in 20 minutes, I guess. But if you really don't like it, that's a lose-lose. If you get stuck trying to figure out how to hand that stuff over or what the system should even be, this is a great place to bring in a coach or a systems person or someone who actually likes to do this stuff. ADHD people are really good at people pleasing. It is bad for you, but it is really good for your customer. Channel that people pleaser energy to have happy clients, but keep it in check so you don't burn out. This is another place where a coach is really valuable. We as ADHD people just think we need to be people-pleasing all the time. It is not true. It is not helpful. Outside eyes are much better at seeing where customer service is becoming toxic, or overcommitment, or over-delivering, or over-involved. All of that stuff. People-pleasing, watch for it. ADHDers tend to take responsibility and feel guilty for things that aren't their fault. I'm going to say that again. ADHD people tend to feel guilty and take responsibility for things that aren't their fault. And you can argue with them all day and they will still tell you it's their fault. How many of you are feeling like last week was your fault? Okay, not a ton. How many of you have ever felt that though? It's my fault. I don't know why it's my fault, but I'm pretty sure it's my fault. You are always ready to take things on, save the day, charge into the gap, which is a good thing in some cases. But on the other side of that, sorry, to make sure I'm saying this correctly. Yes. But it means you can get embroiled in things that are pulling you away from your business, pulling you away from your family, pulling you away from the things you love to do. Be careful of that people pleaser. It is great to be a problem solver and someone that people can count on. And it feels good, right? Like I solved that thing in the moment. But again, we stretch ourselves so thin. And if we begin to feel abused or taken advantage of, that's another way that we can walk away from our business. ADHDers have a really loud inner dialogue, and it's almost always negative. Well, that was really stupid. Well, what did you think was going to happen? Oh my God. We tend to adopt all the negative things that people have said to us or about us and labeled us with. We tend to beat ourselves up with all of the things. ADHDers have terrible memory for the positive things they have been told and an amazing memory for all the things we've been told that are bad about us. Stop. Stop now. As one of my clients said, if I don't shame myself into it, I will never get it done. How many of you believe that? I'm so excited. Yay! Yay! The three of you put your hands up, talk to me after class. It is not true. Stop that garbage now. ADHD, we're going to talk about RSD in a minute. ADHD people take criticism 10 times more powerfully. I'm just throwing that number out, but it's way worse than other people, right? When we take criticism, we take it like a knife to the heart. When you are the one criticizing, it is even worse. You have no safe place. Stop the negative self-talk. You will get far more done with encouraging and positive self-talk. I know some of you are sitting here going, I could never make that switch, but I did. And if I can, and I won't tell you all the things, but if I can believe that I'm a good person, I promise you, you can make that switch. Which brings us to rejection-sensitive, I can't even say it, this word. Rejection-sensitive dysphoria. If you have not heard of this, research it. It is one of the biggest bugaboos that I've never heard. Why did I say that word? That's crazy. It's one of the biggest struggles that ADHD people have. This is not ever a superpower. Fear of rejection will kill your ability to promote your business and sell your product. My middle son, I can talk to him in this very voice. Hey, kiddo, I think we need to work on this and such. And he'll be like, don't yell at me. And I remember that. I remember my mom saying things to me and I thought she had screamed and yelled, or teachers saying to me things and I just wanted to crawl in a hole and never come out. That is RSD. It freezes you when you need to respond the most. When a customer is unhappy, when something is going south, when you've made a mistake and your marketing person is like, hey, where's that thing you were supposed to send me? I don't know. It freezes us. So back to that negative self-talk, you freeze yourself when you're mean to yourself, when you're speaking unkindly to yourself. And unfortunately, RSD can make us think a customer is unhappy when they actually aren't. Right? Have any of you ever not returned a call because you thought the customer was unhappy and then you didn't return the call and then they did get unhappy? Oh my God. Always, always, always assume that you are overreacting when it comes to that sort of thing. Which leads us also to perfectionism. Perfectionism can be a superpower if it is held very strongly in check. Most of the time, for most of us, it is bad and dangerous and will burn you out. Difficulty completing tasks with follow-through. This is the least interesting to me. There's all sorts of books on this, right? Like, bleh. But if you have difficulty completing tasks, you have difficulty with follow-through, and the books you've found and the solutions you've been told by neurotypicals have not helped you, let's talk. They tend to be very, very simple solutions, and so I'm not going to go into them today. But they're detail-oriented, right? Like completing tasks, that's detail-oriented. Some of the answers came earlier in this conversation. So those are the negatives. Let's talk about positives. ADHD people are personable. They love to have people love them, and they love people back. ADHD people are charismatic. They're fun to watch. They're fun to listen to. They're fun to talk to. They're enthusiastic. They're welcoming. ADHD people tend to love everybody. I don't care who you are. I love you. ADHD people are people. They're magnetic. They're good at enrolling others in their vision. Really positive thing for a solopreneur to have, or any kind of entrepreneur to have. They're excellent salespeople. I talked to somebody with simple texting today, 100% ADHD, like 100% ADHD. Like the minute he opened his mouth, I knew he was, and he was amazing. Like he was one of the best salespeople I've ever worked with. ADHD people have the ability to hyper-focus and knock stuff out in a short time if they learn to be motivated to do it. How many of you have hyper-focused on something completely ridiculous that had nothing to do with your business, but you spent hours there? How many of you have figured out how to translate that hyper-focus into your business? Nice. Share with me. Share with me. Like seriously, if you have figured out how to do that, I would love your methods. I've got a couple, but this is one of the hardest things to do, is to take that ADHD hyper-focus and actually make it functional and useful. So if you guys have methods, please, please, please share with me. ADHD people are high energy. They tend to have big vision. They are dynamic. They wade in where angels fear to tread. And they get away with it. They are creative. They're spontaneous. They are excellent problem solvers, sometimes almost magically. In case you didn't know, the ADHD brain is ADHD. Part of that is because they see everything at once. And so when there is a problem, an ADHD person will automatically go whoop, up above the problem, see everything that's going on, and come back down and go, here. Pisses people off. Walk into a room and they're like, blah, 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 blah. And the ADHD person goes, what? Huh? Oh, what about this? We have been here for an hour and a half. I don't know, anybody ever had that happen? All the time. ADHD people, from that last piece, can get way high and see the whole picture. And most people, I know you guys think this is a normal thing, most people cannot. They almost always miss something. This is part of our gift. We can get way up high and see all the pieces, maybe even see pieces that aren't even part of the problem, but could help outside of what we're even thinking about. They also have the ability to come way down into the microscopic, granular, minute pieces of the problem, and they can spend hours there. When it's called for, it's amazingly useful. Figure out when it's called for. ADHD people have the ability to see opportunities, connections, and solutions that other people just can't. That kid I was telling you that's like, Mom, don't yell at me, 3 years old. He solved a problem that we were trying to figure out, my husband and I. He walked it, literally 3-year-old, walked into the room and went, what about this? Oh my God. 3. Another aspect of that holistic brain is that the answer just comes. So sometimes you're going to be working on something and ping, it just feels like it dropped into your brain from heaven. ADHD people are often seen, ADHD people very often have a huge passion for justice. One of my friends in his in his kindergarten things, it said, has an overblown sense of justice at 5. But that means that they are also very often at the forefront of movements for change. They are the ones that march out ahead of society with no regard for their safety. For better or for worse, ADHD people change the world. What time is it? How am I doing?
You got about 8 minutes.
Perfect. Here we go. I want you to hear me say that again, though. For better or for worse, ADHD people change the world. All right. I'm not going to give you granular tools. I gave you some. You're welcome to contact me for more granular tools. What I want you to do today is get 8 things that will change. I want you to change about how you think about ADHD that will help you solve the challenges of ADHD. Number 1, your brain is built to solve problems. ADHD brains love puzzles. Give me a problem, let me fix it. It's one of your superpowers. Now direct it toward your own ADHD challenges, one solution at a time. Look at solutions that are already working for you. ADHD people usually have places they've already solved things. Look at where those solutions are working for you and apply that solution to the current challenge. Whatever's frustrating you, jump from what you've already done. Number 3, oh, hey, look, wait, slide. Only attempt to fix one part of one problem at a time. I'm going to say that again. Only try to fix one part of one problem. We tend to want to fix all the problems at once, first of all, right? Like change our diet and our fitness and our relationships. And oh yeah, while I'm at it, I'm going to change my finances and my business. No, 100% failure rate. How many of you have tried that? How many of you have succeeded at changing all the things all at once? Yeah, no hands, that's what I thought. But I want you to get serious about not even just one problem at a time, one part of one problem at a time. Break the problem into such small pieces that you can give yourself victories one tiny piece at a time. Number 4, attach change to something you already have rock solid. For me, that's brushing my teeth. I cannot not brush my teeth in the morning. And so if I'm going to change a habit, I attach it to my brushing my teeth. Second best for me is attaching it to eating, because I will not skip eating. Those are my 2 go-tos for when I'm trying to change a habit or create a habit. If it's a habit you're trying to create, do it in its very smallest increment. The first time I heard somebody say, well, my morning routine, I was like, what the heck is that? A morning routine? what? And then she said it was a 2-hour morning routine, and I lost my mind. I now have a 45-minute morning routine, and it started with 1 minute of meditation a day. I'm not playing. That's all I could do. 1 minute, that's all I could do. Got to 3 minutes, got to 5 minutes, and now I have a 45-minute morning routine. Now, I'm ADHD, so it's not the same thing every day, right? Like some days I do yoga, some days I walk, some days I write in my journal, some days I don't even fight that battle anymore, right? Like, what do I want to do? I don't know, I'll just do whatever feels good. Number 6, 30 days. And I'm serious about that, actually, with the morning routine. Let yourself switch it up. If you do the same thing over and over and over, you're gonna quit. 30 days, grit your teeth, drag yourself by the ear, promise yourself over and over the top reward. But whatever it is you're trying to change or solve, do it for 30 days in the very smallest increment you can. And then if you can, do it for another 30 days. It takes a lot of work to get a rut built in an ADHD brain, but once you get it there, it will stay. But 30 days, best if you can go 60 days. Get your friends involved, put it on socials, choose, promise yourself that over the top reward. If you do anything less than 30 days, most likely it will not stick. Number 7, replace the negative self-talk. I yelled at you about this already. No, I'm kidding. Replace the negative self-talk. You've spent a lifetime being told that you should be able to do it without help, without meds, without a housekeeper, without a personal assistant. that somehow it's cheating if you just, and you should just buck it up, use your willpower. Those voices are very loud. Root them out one at a time with a positive replacement. Every time you berate yourself, physically stop. I'm not kidding, physically stop. Take your hands off the keyboard, stand up, whatever you gotta do, and then lovingly, I'm a middle school teacher, you know what a middle school teacher sounds like, lovingly but sternly tell yourself, that's not allowed, and that's not helping. Jen, that's not allowed, and that's not helping. And then it's gonna feel weird, but right then and there, I want you to replace that negative statement with a positive statement. Well, that was stupid. I knew you were gonna do that. Hey, you did your best, and I knew you were gonna do your best. I knew you were gonna try. Sometimes we just gotta get to neutral first, right? Then work toward positive. Start talking to yourself like a toddler that is learning to walk. You would never say to a toddler, well, that was stupid. You only made one step. You would never say to your best friend that is going through something hard, what are you thinking? Oh my God. You would say, you're gonna be okay. You're doing your best with the circumstances you're in. And number 8, ready? Meditate. 1 minute a day, find a place for it. 1 minute a day is where I started. It has changed my brain to the point that even though I am not capable of taking meds, I have tried, I can't take meds. I'm so freaking jealous of all of you that are on meds in here. I cannot do it. Meditation has changed my brain to the point that most of my symptoms are manageable without meds or without extreme anything. Even if you're on meds, meditate. It will start to change your brain. You will start to make all sorts of other changes. It is the foundation of all this. If I could have put it first, I would have, but I know ADHD people, and I know if I had put it first, you'd have ignored everything else that was on there. I can't meditate. What else is she gonna say? Well, this is stupid. I have a whole bunch of other little things that you can do, techniques that my clients and I have created. The most important thing I'm gonna leave with you, 2 things. You need to create your solutions. I have not yet found a book that had solutions for me. I have yet to do it. You, with your coach, with your therapist, with your friend, with your spouse, probably not with your spouse, tends not to work. Find your solutions, and you're gonna find your solutions one piece at a time. This sort of worked, this sort of worked, this sort of worked. Wait, I found a solution. And last but not least, remember, ADHD people change the world. Thank you.